Welcome to the Soul Archaeology podcast, a space for connection, resonance, witnessing, and learning. Together we'll harvest medicine from the spiral of life, sharing conversations with other embodied humans who have navigated their own initiations and found alignment with their true soul essence. With weekly astrology, energy updates, embodied conversation, and channeled teachings, this is a space for you to land and find resonance with the spiral of your own soul. Hello, welcome back to Soul Archaeology. I am so happy to be here with you today. We have a big week. Last week was a little bit of a respite, a point to sort of land and maybe reorient. You might have already been feeling this full moon in Aries building. And we are entering that full moon portal. We have this week the full moon in Aries on October 6th at 8:47 p.m. Pacific. In the last episode, I talked a lot about this Libra season, the energy of October, what we can expect. We have a lot of scorpionic energy, a lot of Mars energy, a lot of this drive, desire, penetration, this energy to initiate, create, change something. And then we have the support of the sun in Libra, helping us sort of balance and temper and titrate this fire, this desire. So on October 6th, we have the full moon in Aries at 14 degrees. Right before that, Mercury enters Scorpio, and it begins to apply a square to Pluto in Aquarius right away. So that energy is definitely going to influence this full moon. Even though it's not directly aspecting the moon, it is definitely adding pressure. And we're watching Mars this week because this full moon in Aries is ruled by Mars. Aries is ruled by Mars. Mars is in Scorpio, where it's also in rulership. So Mars is very, very expressed this week, and we are going to be looking at themes around anger, drive, passion, frustration, aggression, our fire, our flame, our life force, our identity, our self, how we move through life, how we actualize what we truly desire. And then later in the week, on October 11th, Venus enters Virgo. So this is very sobering. We're kind of moving out of anything that has felt maybe obscure or off in the distance or anything we've been kind of avoiding. If you made it through eclipse season, continuing to avoid things that you need to be tending, then I'm shocked because Virgo has not been messing around with the South Node there. And with Venus moving into Virgo, she's going to be dancing with the South Node throughout this transit, which means there is a deep sobering. There is a release of illusion, ideals, things that we just thought we could kind of, push off to the side or sort of neglect or ignore. This energy is so potent, so intense. It's all about discernment. It's all about what we choose, how we show up, what we are in devotion to. So Venus moving into Virgo combined with this full moon in Aries is very confronting. It's having us look at where we self-abandoned, where we might, like I said, sort of dissociate or procrastinate, where we need to embrace and integrate our fire, our clarity, our devotion, where we need to integrate our fire so that we can take action. And I want to talk about that in this episode because so often procrastination or dissociation is coming from a charge, a burst of life force that we are either afraid to meet or afraid to integrate. So we might have this surge of anger, or this desire, or this fight or flight energy that surfaces. But if in that moment there's not enough resourcing or space for it to come through and move through you, it instead gets stuck. And it can turn into freeze. It can turn into procrastination. It can turn into avoidance. That's the shadow of Libra. It's not taking action, not letting your life force and your power and your anger and your truth move through you, but instead getting stuck in the middle space, getting stuck in the freeze. So this week, we are getting that very lovely confrontation of the full moon in Aries, really illuminating where we might be frozen, where we might be dissociating, where we might be people pleasing or collapsing, fawning, where we might be stuck in indecision. Themes of this full moon: sovereignty, initiation, the integration of self, courage, illumination, truth, psychological depth, emotional reclamation, emotional maturation, emotional intelligence. This is the first full moon after eclipse season. We're technically still in the eclipse portal because we had the last eclipse on September 21st. It was a new moon eclipse, solar eclipse in Virgo. We have this full moon in Aries, so we're still in this eclipse wave, and the eclipse season officially closes on October 21st with the new moon in Libra. But this is a big release point. This is asking us, what have we learned through our time in this eclipse season? What did we learn from that very illuminating new moon in Virgo? What are the things that we need to initiate? What are the practices and choices that we need to make that the universe is no longer allowing us to dissociate from? This full moon in Aries is giving us this push, this injection of life force and fire and initiation. We've been in this deep portal of purification, unraveling. Aries is bringing this ignition, this spark of life. This moon has fire in her lungs. She's urging movement, agency, courage, renewal. There is truth that wants to surface with Mercury and Scorpio. And it won't be polite. What's been buried or voided or even rationalized is ready to be seen, to be named, and even to be acted upon. And a full moon occurs when the sun and moon are opposite one another. It's when the sun fully illuminates the moon. And the moon is our inner landscape. It's our emotional landscape. It's what's hidden within us. And the sun is our identity. It's our personality. It's consciousness. It's a light. So when the sun is fully illuminating the moon, it's bringing to light what's hidden within us, what's unconscious within us. It reveals what's been hidden and illuminates what really needs revealing. Aries is the self. It's the beginning. It's the I am point. It's where we claim this body, this self, this identity. It's the warrior, the pioneer, the flame of becoming. It's the impulse to exist, to act, to initiate, to individuate. It's this creation point. Libra is a sign of the other. It's the point within the zodiac where we start to step out of just the self and meet the other. We begin to experience ourself reflected in the other. So this moon is about balancing the self and relationship, autonomy, individuation, and harmony, connection, relationship. So this moon is illuminating where we are out of balance. Are we self-abandoning? Are we too far in the other? Are we in codependency or enmeshment? Or are we too individuated? Are we too selfish? Are we focused too much on the self? Are we navel-gazing? Are we being consumed by our own things and not able to meet our relationships or our community? And Aries is all about self, inner authority, sovereignty, direction, leadership. It's the inner knowing that we have, the compass, where we act, initiate from that space. It's the sacral yes. It's that point where we just know what we need to do. Libra likes to take in a lot of data and sort of weigh everything and process. That's why it can get stuck in indecision, because there's so much to sort through before making a decision. Aries is much more like raw life force. It's making fast decisions. It's reacting. In its shadow, it can be overly reactive or reckless even. This is a moon all about refinement. We are refining our life force, that desire, that passion, that anger, that pure, raw life force within us, so that we can act as conscious warriors, not unconscious ones. This doesn't mean we're falling into apathy or indecision or freeze, but that we're channeling and transmuting and evolving this anger, this life force, this desire, this passion into aligned action, aligned choice. And Mars is the ruler of this full moon. Mars is in Scorpio. Mercury's entering Scorpio right before this full moon as well. So there's passion, there's desire, there's drive, there's fire connected to this moon. This is fire meeting water. This is our subconscious anger, our fear of our anger, our fear of our life force, our fear of our power, but also our unconscious anger that seeks to destroy or sabotage, to separate. Scorpio is a subterranean, Mars is fire, Aries is fire. This is showing us where we have trapped fire, where we're afraid of being in that power. And I think personally, knowing my own patterning, knowing the patterning of most of the women I work with, we have a lot of suppressed anger. And this anger comes from centuries of suppression, centuries of having to survive and manipulate to survive, ancestry, lifetimes, past lives. And many of us are walking around with inflammation, with freeze, with fear of acting and initiating. But also this deep underlying anger, this hatred towards the patriarchy and men. And this isn't to say that it's not valid, because it is. It's all valid, but it's eating away at us. And this moon is showing us where that trapped life force, that trapped fire lives. When we have suppressed anger, we are suppressing and separating out from our power as well. And then we're projecting and vomiting this unconscious anger all over those around us. As we know, we hold the past in our cells, in our systems, in our fascia, in our tissues, our muscles, our cells. And we're so often responding from these wounds, this suppressed anger, these parts of us that have never gotten space to express. But when we can create conditions for this anger to surface, what we almost always find beneath it is grief. And as we know, the world is just outrageous right now. It can feel like everything's falling apart. It can feel like people in power are getting away with whatever they want while we have to bear the weight of the grief, the anger, the rage, the corruption. And this is what this moon will surface. Not only rage associated with what's really happening in real time, what is valid and righteous to be angry about, but that rage activates the past, the wounds around anger that we hold within ourselves. And we start responding from the wound rather than the pure emotion of the present. And when those two get mixed, it gets very convoluted, it gets confusing, it gets inauthentic. So our work now is to be with the past, to be with the wounds, to be with our anger in the present moment, and to let it move through us through movement, dance, expression, letting this anger express so that we don't become unconscious warriors, so that we can mature into conscious warriors who are acting from real present time information and not the wounds of the past. Because when we're projecting from wounding, we are never doing a service to the cause in the present moment. We're perpetuating cycles of suffering and dysregulation that never actually serve. So we get to utilize what's happening now in real time in the world to activate the rage that exists within us, this trapped life force that didn't get a place to express. Maybe it happened in relationship to your parents growing up and it was never safe to express your anger, or you were told that it's bad, or maybe it quite literally wasn't safe for you to scream or to cry, and that's gotten trapped in your cells. It's our responsibility now to be able to be with and process the wounding of the past so that we can respond from a conscious place now. And the energy of a conscious warrior versus an unconscious warrior is completely different. You can feel the projection. You can feel the old material sort of tainting the new material. And these parts of you deserve to be seen. They deserve to be held. They deserve to be integrated, to be expressed, to be felt. And we need the right conditions for those things to happen. And this is where Virgo comes in, because Virgo has been showing us what it looks like to have the right conditions, what it looks like to care for ourselves in a deeper way, what it looks like to create space on the physical plane for healing, what it looks like to set boundaries around what you're consuming. Because there is a war on our consciousness. It's been going on for so long, but it's really ramping up now. Our egos are trying their best to stay alive, clinging to the identities that we have depended on for so long. We're closing out so many major astrological cycles. Saturn and Neptune at the last degrees of Pisces, clearing illusion, but also surfacing illusion. We're having to discern in ways that we've never had to discern before. So much is being disclosed, but so much is overwhelming to sort through it, to figure out what's real and what isn't, what is true. So of course our systems would hit those overwhelm thresholds. Of course we would feel our wounds of the past activated. But this is where our work comes in. This is where we get to choose. Are we participating in this war as unconscious prisoners of our ego? Or are we choosing to break out of these patterns? Are we choosing to process the data from the past? Are we choosing to show up with wide eyes and open minds and open hearts, strong backbones, boundaried? And I will tell you, after working with women in very intimate containers for 8 years now, there's nothing that convolutes your clarity, your discernment, your intuition more than unprocessed anger. Anger lives in the liver. The liver quite literally filters our entire physical body. When the filter gets backed up, when the filter gets inflamed, we cannot discern. And we need extremely clear, clean vessels for what's to come over the next few years. This is why discernment, choosing what you consume, setting boundaries, tending to the physical is everything right now. And Aries is the body. It's the first house. So there's no better time than to get out, to move your body, to maybe even find a safe place to scream, to let it go, to push up against a wall and to feel the power in your arms, nice and slow, to push your legs into things, your feet, to remember that you have feet. You have a pelvic floor. You have a respiratory diaphragm. You have arms that can push things away. This is how we return to the present moment. And like I said, with Scorpio's influence during this full moon, a lot of the material is going to be unconscious. We need to pay attention to what is activating us. Have you felt that way before? This is where the gold, the treasure, lies. We cannot move forward blindly. This week is asking for conscious movement born from clarity. The Aries moon wants to act. Mercury in Scorpio wants to understand why. What unconscious material is there? What drives you? As we know, 95% of our reality is a projection from the subconscious, which is where we store information from the past. So our past is creating 95% of our reality. This is where the conscious warrior piece comes in, because we have to choose differently. We have to respond from a more conscious place in order to change our reality. And I don't just mean our individual reality, I mean our collective reality. If we have people running around acting from old wounds, we're going to keep creating the past. We're perpetuating it. And that's kind of what this energy wants. It wants to keep us enslaved. It wants to keep us enslaved to our wounds, to the past, to our suffering, to our unprocessed anger, to our inflammation. We get to choose to do it differently. This means we have to face where that exists within us. It's a strong mirror right now. It's incredibly confronting. I feel it. I know. I get it. But this is the Jedi work. This is where we show up and we meet our own shadows so that we can create new realities. We're seeing one world die and another one being born. Are we going to sit and stir and cling to what's dying, or are we going to choose to create a new way? We can consciously say, oh yeah, of course we want to create a new way. But are we unconsciously still choosing the old ways because it feels safer? Are we afraid of looking at our own shadow, the unconscious ways we're perpetuating our own victim consciousness or victim consciousness in the world? This is sneaky stuff. I cannot tell you how sneaky it is right now. The unconscious material I'm seeing surface is so nuanced. We are not in stage 1 of Earth School. We're evolving rapidly, and that requires very clear, discerning truth goggles. So with this moon, we're going to see old anger surface, which of course is where we've abandoned ourselves or our own desires to keep the peace, where we've over-identified with independence to avoid intimacy, where we are afraid to initiate, and we know we need to, where we have wounds from the past, like I said, surfacing because they're stuck and stored in our systems, where there were times in the past where we needed our power and our life force, but it wasn't safe to step into it. Saturn and Neptune next year are moving into Aries. We got a taste of it. This is about becoming a conscious warrior. This is about facing our own illusions and delusions. This is about owning and taking responsibility for our lives, for our health, for what we truly want to create. This is about looking at where we fawn, where we collapse, where we expect to be saved. We're in some big victim consciousness right now with Saturn and Neptune back in Pisces. It is not pretty. And we have to become so acutely aware of when we are in that, when the people in our lives are in that, because it is so toxic, and it's actually what these bigger, darker energies want. They want to keep us in victim consciousness because, of course, we're more controllable, we're less empowered, we're less clear, we're less discerning. With the sun in Libra, it's showing us how we can be truly balanced, and that's a practice. That's something we choose. Venus in Virgo is going to help us with that. So this is not about apathy or even neutrality. This is about inner authority, taking responsibility for our emotional landscape, and transmuting the past so that we can operate and choose wisely in the present. How we can not trauma dump our emotions and anger, but use it as a tool. This is a refinement process. This is a maturational process. This is also about sovereignty and relational balance. This is about choosing to be your own individual, even in relationship. And I don't mean just romantic relationship, but all relationships, even your relationship to identities and collective groups. Are you in groupthink? Are you just expecting someone to tell you what to believe? Or are you really, really, really using that brilliant internal compass, that inner authority that you have access to? That's Aries. We have Chiron in Aries. We've had the North Node in Aries over the last few years. So we've been in this work. We're looking at where we hold wounding, connected to our identity, connected to our power, connected to our anger, connected to our truth, our action, our will, our drive. So this is not new terrain, but this is an invitation to look at a deeper layer of it post-eclipse season and process the unconscious material here, connected to Mercury and Mars in Scorpio. This week could bring heightened emotion, quick tempers, revelations, relational shakeups. And it's an invitation to take personal responsibility, accountability, rather than project blame, project this wounded anger. This is about really getting clear on what you want to act upon. Is it coming from the wound or is it coming from the heart? This full moon is really a re-entry point. After months of cleansing and clearing, we get to start rebuilding, but we have to be very discerning about how we respond, how we act, what we choose, what we're moving from, this creation point. This is Aries. This is new beginnings. This fire is here to awaken us, not destroy us. Are you using it for destruction or for creation? That's the thing about fire, is that it's pure life force and it can create or destroy. This moon is a chance to embody new ways of being, new ways of choosing. With Venus shifting into Virgo on the 11th, right after this full moon in Aries, she supports us in stabilizing and refining. Virgo's all about discernment, devotion, practicality, purification. This is where we can take what's been revealed over the last month and a half and begin to organize it into wholeness, into care, into service. Venus in Virgo is the priestess, the one who heals through presence, through the simple sacredness of tending. She's all about reverence and refinement, serving. Not perfection, but purification. Not self-critique, but self-honoring through care, rhythm, awareness. This is about simplification. This is about letting go of expectations and instead fine-tuning that inner authority, fine-tuning your inner compass, and acting on what is true and real for you in the moment. Embodying truth. This is a recalibration for our nervous systems. Once again, an invitation to do things differently. Reminding us that healing doesn't happen through control, but through consistency, care, awareness, clear attention. Venus in Virgo is all about devotion and letting devotion be our anchor. So this is a stabilizing energy after the full moon in Aries. And it's an opportunity. Venus isn't happiest in Virgo because it can feel a little maybe stale or sober. But I think it's going to be really helpful energy as we move through October and we begin to sort through all of this information that we've gained. So I am opening my mentorship this October. This will be the last round for 2025. This is a very intimate one-on-one experience with me, 3 months. We're going deep into your unconscious layers. This is really for Those of you who have felt in between, in the liminal space, unsure of what's next, transitioning out of something and into something new, or if you can feel that you just need support and clarity around what exactly you should be connecting with inside of yourself. I blend evolutionary astrology, quantum and intuitive healing with my advanced somatic practitioner training. So this is where spirit meets body. We are working on many different planes to bring more consciousness to the present moment, for you to feel safe, for you to feel expanded, for you to feel like you can really understand how to move forward. This is about integrating all of the different parts of you so that you can feel whole in the present moment. It's 3 months. If you would like more information, you can go to my website. I have it linked in the show notes as well. You can book a free clarity call about mentorship. That call really is only about mentorship. I have some people that want to just ask me other questions, but really that call is strictly for mentorship inquiries. So I encourage you to go onto my mentorship page. If it feels in alignment for you, book a clarity call. I'd love to chat. And the card I pulled today is from the Untamed Elemental deck, and it is Thunderbolt. Weapon of the sky, Thunderbolt is the conductor of consequence. Full-throated and unswerving, this electric iconoclast reigns with force, leveling resistance and dispelling ignorance. Though he seems destructive, his temper plays a part in the evolution of much of life's life forms. He has equal power to annihilate and bestow life. The moment he hits is an instant of synthesis, disrupting tightly held notions and lighting the way for new truths to emerge. Thunderbolt does not hold back his fervent proclamations, telling you that the difficulty is not in the issue itself, but rather in how you currently choose to see things. Ignorance is at the root of all suffering and arises from misperception about the nature of existence. This noxious obstacle to freedom can be overcome with little effort once you cease clinging to limiting and damaging ideas. Call upon Thunderbolt to grace your perceptions with his sonic shockwave. Ask him to transform your perspective into a freshly seen, world-turned, mind-blown experience that elevates all of your relationships. When it's balanced, you feel open-minded and content. When it's imbalanced, you feel suffering through misperception, craving, or aversive. To bring into balance, question the indoctrinations that cause your sufferings. That was one thing that I wanted to just sort of reemphasize, because I know that there is a lot of anger right now, and a lot of people are very angry, and anger is not bad. Anger is pure life force. What is not good is when anger is stale and stuck and stored and inflammatory from the past and from the wounds. And so anger is needed to change the world. We need this life force, this flame, this spark. But we need pure anger that's coming from discernment and truth and precision and the heart, rather than from old wounding. So we're in it together. We're all here from all different sides, all different walks of life. I know many people on this podcast are coming from all different places, all different ideas, but we all belong here. And I hope that this space can serve as a place for us to meet consciously together and examine our own inner landscape. As always, take what resonates, leave what does not. Thank you for being here. I'm always so appreciative when you share, review on all the platforms. Sharing on social media helps me so much. Sharing with friends or family that you think need to hear this episode or would appreciate it or are interested in astrology. I am so grateful. I hope you have a beautiful, beautiful week. Happy full moon.